An introduction to SP. Welcome to the SP software. As you can see, there are a number of different windows in the software that allow you to work with different objects and elements within your SP project. To begin, let's take a look at some of the views that are available by default. Starting in the top left corner, there's the Objects window. Within here, you'll find anything that is a 3D representation of an object that should exist in the 3D space. So this could be a camera, a tracker, or even a simple object like a cone, cube, or a sphere. Alternatively, you can import your own 3D mesh into SP. As soon as you add an object in, it will appear in the viewport. As you can see, there's a visualizer here that represents the whole 3D space. Of course, you can move around in the space, rotate, pan, and zoom in and out to get an understanding of where things are in 3D. This is especially useful when objects are being tracked, so you can see where the objects actually are. On the lower left side, you have your I/O connections. Typically within an SP project, you will have I/O connections to receive incoming data and potentially sending data out as well. Within here you can find the different I/O connections that are available. There is 2D tracking, 3D tracking, camera tracking, connections to media servers, standard protocols, or other peripherals like multi-viewers. There are lots of different things you can use to connect data into SP or to get it back out again. As soon as you add one of these, it becomes available for you to control. You can also search for objects just by typing their name or part of their name. The next window is the pool. This is the area where you'll be hosting or consolidating other information like variables and presets, etc. These are things that will help streamline your programming or just as a placeholder to collect your information. If you look in here, you'll see you have variables, presets, data tables, data trees, alignment profiles, fixture profiles, and so on. These are all just data sets and data points that you'll want to hold on to for later purposes. In the main upper center of the screen, you have the board. Within the board, you can create interfaces such as buttons, sliders, or color fields, for example. It's a great place to build a dashboard and see what's going on, or a place to trigger other actions. Alternatively, the board can also be a place where you can build your own logic. You can then add mathematical functions or create some logic to whatever you want to do. So the board is very flexible, and you can create multiple different boards as well. Next to that, we have the timeline. This is for the case where your project needs to run on specific timed events rather than running in real time or with random triggers coming in from external sources. You can then sequence things on the timeline so they happen at the correct time. You can connect external timecode feeds to control this. Then when the playhead moves along, you can define when events happen or cues to be triggered. Then our last area on the right here is the inspector. This is where you can see information and properties of any item you selected within the project. That could be cues on the timeline, board elements like sliders or nodes, or it could be one of the objects, or it could be the properties of an I/O connection, like this OSC property here. This is how you can see and edit any properties or settings from anything in the system. All of these views are resizable. You can use these handles here to move around the borders. You can also move windows around to create your own layout, just by holding the tab at the top. They can then be placed into different sections, and you can also add new sections if you want to. Based on what you're doing and what your project requires, you will end up creating different layouts to suit the purpose. For example, if you want to focus on the timeline, you'd make it bigger and make all the other windows smaller. All of these layouts can be saved for later, and there are some pre-built layouts you can use as well. For example, there's a timeline view, or the viewport view, which is mostly focused on the 3D space, which is useful when you have lots of 3D objects and things moving around where you want to see their positions. All these layouts are saved within your project, so you always have them, and of course you can switch layouts around within your project as much as you like. In the next video, we'll show you how to get started.